high achievers typically, in my experience, I'll say, typically thrive off of consistency because it's that consistency that lends the repeatable results, right? And so, what happens when we're praised for our consistency and we master our lane, then you just want to keep doing that over and over again. For me, as a matter of fact, it got to a point where I could just do my job in my sleep almost. I've mastered the art of doing this job and I do it well. And I'm praised for that. So when God says, well, new lane, it's like, wait a minute, hold on. No, sir. That ain't what we do. That is not, that is not what we do. We've mastered this lane. We've mastered this skill. We've mastered this job. What are you talking about pivoting? Because to us, it feels like an abrupt starting over, right? And you don't want to start over. Any leader knows that starting over, starting from the ground up, it takes a lot to build. And so, yeah, it's hard to accept that God is like, okay, it's great what you've done, but yeah, we're going to do something else. And it's totally different from what you've always done. But I think one of the biggest things that we have to understand is that God is not asking us to throw away the things that we built. He's actually evolving and expanding on it. So there's no throwaway season. There's no throwaway experience. I am like literally what, a year and a half into an actual pivot that took everything in me because, so let's just talk about it. I was working for one particular company and I had been at this company 15, almost 16 years. And I could totally see myself retiring from this company. I had really good 401k there. I climbed the corporate ladder. I'm in a good place of leadership there. I have respect. I have coworkers that I really like. We work well together. And God, in the middle of all of that, is like, yeah, I have something else for you to do. So this is going to require you to submit your resignation and go to another company. And get this, the company that you're going to, they're less than 5 years old. And I'm like, you say, wait, do what? Huh? You are you sure? Because like this right here, this job, this company, this has been consistent for almost 16 years. I know exactly what comes along with working with these people. I know exactly what comes along with this assignment, with this job. But if I go over here, I mean, Lord, I don't want to start over. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. And so, you know what we do when we don't want to do what God is telling us to do? Well, let me pray about this. And so I'm going back and forth to my prayer closet praying like, God, are you sure? God, is this you? God, is this me? Like, God, I just don't know. I just don't know. And so what I understood then coming out of my prayer closet was that I was soft being disobedient, right? I knew what he was telling me to do. I knew exactly what God was calling me to in that season. And I even knew why he was calling me to do it. But because it was such an abrupt flip of the script, such an abrupt change that I was hesitant to do it. And the only thing that was undergirding that hesitancy was fear. And so what I had to do was to surrender that fear of disappointing myself, fear of potentially not living up to even what I knew was coming on the other side, right? The call, I mean, I'm being called to a higher level, greater responsibilities on this other side, but I'm being called out of my comfort zone. So I was talking myself through fear, talking myself out of God doing a greater thing in my life. And so walking away from something that worked to be something greater has its own drawbacks. Because what if I don't live up to it? What if I'm not that person? What if I'm not that leader? What if I can't do the job? And so doing that and God calling me out of that comfort zone and that 16-year career to go and join something that I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out, I can say with certainty now, hindsight 2020, a year and a half into it, I absolutely am where I'm supposed to be. I am absolutely doing what God called me to do. And had I let fear win, I would have stayed in a season. I would have stayed in a lane that was not for me. And you know what happens when you stay in lanes that are not for you? You crash and you wreck. For me, when I'm trying to understand if this is God or if it's just me moving in and of myself, whatever the reason, whether it's fear, just tired, frustrated, whatever the case may be, all the reasons why we make moves. I look for, through prayer, I look for peace, right? I ask God, hey, listen, these are the decisions that are before me. Give me a peace about the decision that I have to make. This is the direction, God, that I'm leaning. This is the decision that I want to make. And if this is not the decision for me, then don't let me rest. Don't let me settle in it. But if this is a decision that you would have me to make, give me a peace about it. Because otherwise, if you don't give me a peace about it, I'm not moving. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do anything. And so what I then start to look for is patterns, not pressure. Because what I understand, whenever there's the voice of the enemy, when there's the voice of our own selves, our own ambitions, there is a pressure to move that comes along with it. There is a pressure to do something different. It's not peace, it's pressure that's forcing you to move. And so when God is moving you, I'm not going to say that it's absent of pressure always, but what God will do is confirm that it's him. He sends a word of peace that overshadows the pressure, right? Even if it's like I heard a word one time where the pastor preached a message. He said that when God is moving you, he will make it uncomfortable where you are so that you'll be forced to move. So that's pressure right there, right? He'll make it uncomfortable where you are, but beyond just making it uncomfortable, God confirms through his word, and he brings a peace over the next season, whatever that is. And so it's not just pressure absent of his peace, absent of his confirmation that it really is him. So if it's God, get this, if it's God, he will lead you. If it's fear, if it's frustration, if it's pressure, it will drive you, right? Get that. Anything that is not of God, it drives you to do something different. There's a difference between being driven to something and being led to something. When God does it, he leads you. When it's anything other than God, you are being driven to do that thing. People don't understand your shift. They'll call it, oh, you think you're all that. They'll look at, oh, you changed. You forgot where you came from. So people don't always respond well to the shift, but your assignment in this season, and I believe I'm speaking prophetically to somebody right now, your assignment in this season is not to go out getting consensus. Your assignment is to show up as the person that God has called you to be and be obedient to that call, whatever it is. God is the one that has called you. He is the one that will sustain you. If you go out looking for the consensus of everybody else, looking for their opinions, looking for their validation, you will miss God every single time. So leader, I am speaking to your heart right now. This is not the season for you to go out and get consensus. The only affirmation that you need is a call from God, and just trust and believe that he is the one that's going to sustain you. Pivots are evolution. Pivots are expansion. Pivots that are ordained by God is elevation. And that's biblical. Remember, one of the very first things God did with Abraham was call him to get up to go to a place that he would show him. One of the greatest missionaries who wrote over 2/3 of the New Testament, Paul, he had to pivot. He was very, very gung-ho about what he believed to be his call. But he had this experience on the road to Damascus that totally pivoted everything that he thought he was here for. So when you pivot and it's God ordained, please hear and understand this is not about you being flaky. It's about being faithful. And God is not going to waste any part of your journey. Even the detours are God ordained. We can ask Elisha about that. There's so many biblical examples of people who had to do some pivot quickly in some cases. They had to do so many different things that set them on a different path than what they initially started out on or what they expected. But when it is God ordained, even the detours will benefit you. The thing is, his spirit will bear witness with your spirit. I wholeheartedly appreciate the prophets, the prophetess, those who are the mouthpiece of God in the earth. I believe wholeheartedly God speaks through them. But there are times where God will confirm a thing in your spirit before he releases it to somebody else. And so you have to be in such relationship, in such proximity to God, seeking him, that when he speaks, you hear him and you hear him clearly and you move, not needing validation, even from your spiritual leaders sometimes. Because again, we're human and we're fallible at times and we don't always hear clearly. Now, this is not to go second guessing every single word that a prophet has ever given you, but just understand that the same God that confirms a word about you to them will confirm the word to you about you. So silence the voices, silence or minimize the amount of voices that you're allowing to speak into your gates, and go seek God for yourself. Ask him to confirm his word for yourself, and just listen to the voice that is going to lead and guide you into what God has for you. Silence the voices. I mentioned Abraham earlier as one who had a major pivot. God said, get up and go to a place that I will show you, right? In that, God didn't say, hey, Abraham, get up and go north. Abraham, go south. Abraham, go east, go west. He didn't give him a direction. What he gave him was a command. And in that, Abraham got up out of faith. Abraham got up and started in a direction. I don't know how he picked the direction that he went, right? But he got up and by faith, he moved to a place. And when he got to that place, God confirmed that this is the place. And here's the lesson that I learned in that. I don't believe that there was a wrong direction that Abraham could have went, because he responded in faith. Anything that you do out of faith, it's not wrong in a sense of like, oh, you should have done differently. I believe that God responds to our faith in a way that he is big enough to reposition himself to be right where you land, even if it wasn't initially where he was intending you to go. And if it's for you to be redirected somewhere else, he will gently lead you somewhere else. So to say that I pivoted and I'm likely wrong, I would question, was this a move out of faith? Because if it was a faith move, I believe that God will still honor your heart's commitment to actually try to pivot, because that's what you believed he was telling you to do. And because God is so big and he is not confounded to our choices, he can literally position himself to be found even when you find yourself in a place that you think may technically be the wrong place. I wholeheartedly believe that God redeems time. Like, time is bound up in him. Like, he exists outside of time. He controls time. So while we can definitely delay blessings, we can delay the things that God desires to give to us and to do for us and even through us by missing moments and seasons. If you remain faithful and if you remain consistent, I believe that God can redeem that time and bring that opportunity back again. What is for you is for you. If it has your name on it, it belongs to you. And if you are faithfully following God, he is not going to allow a temporary lapse in judgment. He's not going to allow a missed moment to keep you from getting to the place that he has for you, even if that means advancing you through time, even if that means leapfrogging you over the typical steps. And I can only say that because I believe, and I say this often when I'm talking about my call into ministry, I knew very, very early on what God had called me to, but I ran and I resisted for so long. And what happened was when I finally accepted my call into ministry, I said, you know what? I have ran from this. I probably missed all kinds of seasons and moments and opportunities for God to use me. But what I found is when I did accept that what took some people years to build, God opened up those doors for me within the first year, the first 2 years. Visions that took people ages to bring about, God did it for me in the first 2 years. It was just crazy how things that I didn't even understand, I didn't know, strangely, how it would take years of study and years of experience to be able to execute in this thing. Just instinctively, somehow I knew how to make it work. So I believe that was God redeeming the time. He knew in all his wisdom and all his infinite knowledge when I would accept the call. But more than that, he knew where I should be at the point that I accepted the call. And I believe that God did things that catapulted me forward so that I didn't miss the season. So don't worry about the decision that you should have made, because you can't go back in time. All you have is right now. And I have to ask, are you making the right decision right now? Because if you faithfully make the right decision right now, I believe that God is faithful enough to redeem time. If this has touched you, if it's blessed you in any way, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. As a matter of fact, drop in the comments an amen if this resonates with you and you are ready to make the shift.